Influencer, episode 3. Why am I making a video cast? I call it a video cast because it's like so much more than an audio podcast. I'm sitting down here with you guys, shooting the shit, letting you see my reactions and expressions, how I talk, and just generally how I am. I'm still finding my way on all this, but eventually it's going to turn into a story. I've lived so much and had so many crazy ass experiences. I think someone will find them like either entertaining or cautionary. I guess we'll see. I knew I wanted to be seen and heard, but like, what did I want to say? And what do I want to stand on? Maybe it was the man I've become and what I had to do to change and grow and turn into this person. Maybe I'm just the invisible influencer and I see things from like the middle of the road, average Joe status down now. These days, I try to keep myself happy, as I can be, but man, there's a lot of negativity out there. It's a rough world, and it's hard, especially like when most of your friends are gone. Whether they've passed on or they've just disappeared through time. People used to be so important to me and such a big part of what I did, but now there's like less people than there's ever been, and it just seems like a lot of people our age, in your 50s, run into that. I mean, I know a couple people who have lots of friends and chill, but vast majority of people, man, they're just like going to work and sitting home. Maybe if they're lucky, they got an old lady or old man, but the rest of us is just kind of normal. I'm not doing this like for money or notoriety. It's more like an autobiography type of thing. Sharing stories and views of mine. Maybe it's educational, entertaining, perhaps. Yeah, coming at it more now from like a midlife point of view, just because that's where I am. Yeah, I'm not young really anymore, but I'm not a senior citizen yet either, so I guess there's that much. I do enjoy putting all the videos together and talking different topics, doing the filming and editing. It's learning a whole new set of skills, and hopefully by doing this, maybe I can start a conversation and I can learn something myself from you guys. There's a lot of vlogs out there, and most of them are like fucking chads or hot chicks, and people will watch them just because they're attractive. I want to be the normal average person that could make it doing content creation, talking about everyday just normal shit that we all have to deal with on some level. I plan on doing episodes about dating, maybe some more about work, some type of story time. Could do like a live stream if it ever gets there, or do some interviews or something with different people. But I can always tell about all my trials and tribulations and victories and defeats. I'd like to talk about the economy and money. Maybe just my ideas on current events and things going on in the world. Anything you guys want to cover, just let me know. We'll see if we can make it happen. I plan on making these like as a limited series thing, maybe 10, 15 videos, and then I'll kind of reassess and make changes to the program if I need to, unless it blows up or something, which that comment's probably not going to age well. But, I'd like to build a community of like-minded people where we can talk, and at this point maybe do a lot. I'm just hitting record, talking, and letting what comes through my mind just run out of my mouth. I want to talk about how life is for the middle tier average people, guys and gals, the people that work their ass off and have to live paycheck to paycheck, that don't have massive bank accounts and loads of assets, the kind of people that like one health emergency away from losing everything or losing their job, and get kicked out and don't have a car. And I mean, that's like a horrible situation to be in. Then there's the other ones that like weren't lucky in love when they were younger and just couldn't lock down a good partner, when they were 20 or early 30s, and now you're 50 and you're either with somebody you fucking hate or you're just single by yourself. I think that's like probably the vast majority of people out there watching, at least from what I've seen, like just situations of everybody and my own experiences. It's just all that shit gets harder for some reason, and the pickings, they get pretty slim by the time you get 50. I mean, I ain't no spring chicken, but damn, I mean, the chicks like on the apps just, using filters, like every third one they got a filter, and it's like it looks like a fucking cartoon because they're afraid to put what they really look like. But I don't know. I guess that's the shit. That's where we're at though. But last thing is, I guess I'd like to introduce my new co-host, Boner. Kind of a quiet guy, but he's funny, and you'll see him in new stuff coming up. But as a tradition, deuces. Talk to you guys soon. Sorry it had been so long since the last one. Just life, but deuces.